right, so we got this thing in here. Definitely didn't want to move. If you saw out there, I was doing, I don't know, I probably did like a 12-point turn just to get this thing in here because I had to put it in 4 low to get enough torque to actually get the truck to move itself under its own power. I have a pretty good feeling it's just really low on transmission fluid. I put a couple liters in it outside to try and get it to move, and it helped, but it's obviously still quite low, I'm thinking. So first thing we're going to do today is address this transmission fluid leak that's coming from up in there. Now I'm not sure how much I'm gonna have to take apart because it's right behind this washer fluid tank, this connection that's leaking. Hopefully I can get in there. I'm thinking maybe either a new section of hose or throw a couple extra hose clamps on it, like just enough that I can fill it up and take this thing for a drive and see what the transmission is actually like once the fluid's at the right level. Because I'd like to know if the transmission needs a rebuild before I go and redo everything. Like I'd like to, you know, if I have to rebuild the transmission, I'd like to do it while I have the whole truck apart. So we're gonna jump in here, we're gonna see what all I need to take apart. Hopefully not too much, maybe just take that boost tube out of there. And hopefully we can try and get some sort of temporary fix going here to see how this transmission is. Okay, so with the washer fluid bottle removed, I have the tip I'm just pushed over here. I did take out this boost tube, give me a little bit more room. You can see here's the 2 tranny cooler lines. One thing I didn't know was they actually have these quick connects on them. So it's this top line that's leaking. Now I don't know if it's coming from the rubber to quick connect or if it's the actual quick connect itself. So I cleaned it off. We're gonna fire it up here and see where it's actually leaking from. If it's the quick connect, I'm not sure. I might be able to just shove the hose on and bypass that. If it's the actual rubber hose, hopefully I can maybe add another hose clamp, but I don't know, we'll see. Okay, so I was able to tighten up that hose clamp and I ran it for a minute or two, and actually it's not forming any drips on it anymore. So I think that should be all right. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna throw this back in place, put the charge pipe back in. Not gonna worry about the washer bottle, that doesn't matter to me. And then we're gonna fill the transmission up and hopefully I have enough fluid here, and then we're gonna see if this thing will actually drive. Alright, so I went ahead, I was checking the transmission oil. Now, the weird thing was, it actually was reading way over full on the dipstick. So, like, I cleaned it off a couple times and kept checking it. No, it was still over full, which is really odd. I don't know if somebody was working on the transmission, I don't know, or this leak happened and then they just dumped a whole bunch in to try and get the thing to move. I don't know what the story is, but either way, I went and then I looked underneath the truck to see if maybe there was a drain plug on the transmission. I could drain some out and try to get me at the right level. But then I found something. So first of all, I crawled under the truck for the first time. I haven't looked under here before. First thing I found, my pinion bearings are shot in the front diff, so that's awesome. Like, okay, I guess the front diff needs a rebuild. Then you come up here. First of all, this nut was loose, or is still loose. And then if you look a little bit closer yet, That's a real nice crack on my overdrive housing. So that kind of makes me wonder now. Then if we come over here, this drive shaft, you can't really see it, but there's a ton of play in this output shaft too, so I'm hoping it's just the bushing in here. Yeah, the U-joint's all worn out too, but this yoke moves up and down, so bushings and U-joints, and oh yeah, this thing's definitely been beat. So yeah, this thing's a little rough. I mean, it is kind of what you have to expect when you're looking at just about 450,000 kilometers, right? These things are work trucks, and this thing was definitely put to work quite hard. So now I'm kind of just trying to evaluate what I can do with this, because obviously there's not really any point in me trying to get this transmission at the right level and try to drive it, because who knows if overdrive's even going to work with that housing cracked. It probably should, but I don't know for sure. And I'm not certain if you have to pull the transmission completely apart to change that overdrive housing. I have a feeling you might have to, but I'm not positive. But again, it's like, if I'm pulling the transmission out to change that overdrive housing, at that point, why not just tear it all apart internally and actually have a look and see what everything's looking like, and if need be, throw a rebuild kit in it and some new clutches. So I'm kind of thinking I abort this mission of trying to drive it. I know the engine runs good. I know there's no blow-by, so I'm not worried about that. The transfer case, yeah, it doesn't look great with that back bushing. Hopefully it's okay. I know the front diff needs a rebuild, at least new bearings. And the rear diff, I don't know, check the oil, pull the cover and see what that looks like. But this thing's gonna need some serious drivetrain work, so really, I don't know if there's any benefit in trying to get it running and driving right now. I'm almost better off just skipping right ahead to pulling this thing apart. Okay, so the new plan, I'm just gonna start tearing the body off of this thing. It looks like you can pull the overdrive housing off the back of the transmission without taking the transmission apart. And I have a couple options of where I can source one. So if I'm gonna be pulling the body off anyway, it'd be a lot easier to work on the transmission if I don't have a cab in the way. So I'm just gonna start tearing the body off. I think I'm gonna start at the back. I'm gonna pull the back bumper off, take all the bolts for the box out, taillight harnesses out, and then get the box ready to pull. And then once I have a few people here, we can lift the box off and then move into the front end. Okay, so I finally have all the box bolts off. The rails for the fifth wheel hitch, all the bolts are out for that. Surprisingly, all the bolts for the box came out actually, none of them broke. I was very surprised by that, but we're gonna see if this thing's ready to come off. Yeah, I'd say we're good. So the rear bumper's off, you saw that. I pulled the taillights out. The taillight harnesses are routed out. They're not attached to the box anymore. There's one ground strap at the front here I gotta cut when it comes time to move the box off. And then I'll pull the tailgate off when the time comes, but it's pretty much ready to pull off. I gotta wait until I have a few people here to help me lift this thing off. So for now, this is how it sits. So obviously this video didn't quite go as I planned it to go. Kind of sucks to find out that about the transmission, but It looks like that overdrive housing isn't too terrible to change. It'll just be a matter of sourcing one. And then rebuilding the front diff is probably going to suck too, but whatever. It's not the end of the world. It's stuff that we can work with. And for the price I paid, it's not terrible. Like, I knew I was going to have to do some work, so it's not the biggest deal. But anyway, if you're interested in keeping up with this build, be sure to subscribe. Be sure to comment down below what you think we're doing with this. Speaking of, in the next video, which hopefully will be in another week or so, you should be able to see what we're doing with this truck. Let's just say there's going to be 2 trucks involved in this build. We should be getting the second one next weekend if everything lines up. So the next video will be, or should be, about that. So again, be sure to subscribe, be sure to follow all the social medias to stay up to date, to see all the updates. And with all that being said, we'll see you guys in the next one.